It's time to chain up your expectations and throw away the keys. You're on the threshold of the Get Seen, Get Sold podcast, where sugarcoating is for donuts, not deals. Here's your host, the renegade realtor, who tears up the rule book and feeds it to the termites, Mike Rady. Brace for impact.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Mike Rady, Get Seen, Get Sold. How are you? Welcome to another edition of the Get Seen, Get Sold podcast, where we talk about real estate, we talk about mortgages, we talk about life, we talk about a lot of stuff in general. Today, I got a guest coming on. Her name is Mary Price. Mary wears a lot of hats, and we're going to have her talk about some of that stuff real quick. So, you know, Mary's a home stager. Mary's a mom. Mary is Mary's a theater mom, and she can share more on that. So Mary is also a real estate agent. Mary's been in the business for quite a while, so she's seen the ups and downs of the real estate industry. I think primarily more she's into the home staging now than she is real estate, but she's seen a lot of the ups and downs that we have in the real estate. I think more importantly, what I want to talk about with Mary, and she's going to share with us, is the fact that Mary's a business owner. You know, as most of us realtors are, we're business owners, and a lot of us realtors don't realize that, or, you know, don't remember and they forget, or they don't run their business like a business, and they don't know the grind and what it takes to get things done. So let me bring in Mary here and say hello. Hey, Mary,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm great, thank you. I see we have matching brick walls.
Yes, we do. Look at that. Well, you know, I'm a designer, right?
I know, we look like we're in prison.
Well, I am married, so no, I'm kidding. I love my wife. So, Mary, how are you?
I'm really great, thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me. I'm glad to talk about staging. I could talk about staging all day long.
That's great.
I'm good. I had a great day today. Got a lot of things accomplished, and I was looking forward to this mostly.
Okay, well, great. I'm excited that you're excited. That makes me feel good. I'm not doing all this in vain. So, Mary, why don't you just give us a brief history of who you are and, you know, what's going on, kind of like to qualify yourself a little bit.
Sure. So I am originally from Monmouth County. I was born and raised in Monmouth County at the beach. I love down here. People say, "Oh, I'm going to the shore." To me, that's like, what? You're going to the beach. But from a large family. I'm one of 8 kids. So with my parents and 8 of us sharing a 4-bedroom house with 1 bathroom. I'm a mom, like you said. My daughter is 20 now. She'll be 21 in December. She attends NYU as a theater student at the Stella Adler School of Drama. That's where I believe some pretty famous folks went. I'm trying to think of Robert De Niro was for one, and people on that scale.
Okay.
I originally was. I'm gonna sound like I'm 100 years old because I guess I actually am. But for 27 years, I was in the journalism business, in newspapers and magazines. I was an editor, and I did that for a long time. And then things changed. There was a shift with the internet, and that. I guess the thing to say about me is I'm constantly reinventing myself because I've had to. I got laid off from the newspaper job in 2016, I think.
Okay.
And so I did that. I worked in North Jersey newspapers mostly. The Star Ledger, Record of Hackensack, the Asbury Park Press was a little south. That's where I started, where I grew up. What else? And then I do real estate, but I don't really. That's not my passion.
Okay.
I don't know that I was actually. I mean, I was good at it for the transactions, but I don't know that I had the grit to pound it out the way you have to. It wasn't fun to me, and I know life doesn't have to always be fun, but I wanted to enjoy myself at this point.
Sure.
You know, in my career, in my life, and so I started staging. Does that?
So before we get into your staging, let's just go back for a second. You know, so the internet basically changed your life, right? With print becoming dead, right? Everybody says print is dead. You get your news online instantly and everything else. So yeah, so I'm sure that really took the life out of a lot of people's jobs and industry.
Sure.
So I think the good news is here is like the win is, I know that you did real estate and you're still in it, but it's not your main thing. The good news is that you were able to keep yourself going, right? You saw something happened, you didn't complain and whine and say, "Oh me, the sky's falling," and you pivoted. You did something and you made a move, and and it's a win, right? Because you have a kid you have to take care of. You have to take care of yourself. And going into real estate from being an editor, there's I don't see the segue to that. I don't, unless you were at a.
I wish I met you. I wish I met you in 2016. You're absolutely right, and it's really smart of you to catch on to that, because when I was in the newspaper world, it's a very good point you bring up, because when I was in the newspaper world, I went into the newsroom every day and I created something all day long, so I had it for the next day. It's called the news. Somebody got shot, somebody got fired, there was a house that burned down, there's a trial going on. So I didn't have to go kill it and bring it back like you do with real estate. It came to me, I packaged it, and I got it ready, and I made it so it was edible for the next day. I found in real estate, for me, and this is just for me personally, the cycle was long. It was a long cycle. Meet the person, take them to see how many houses, knock on the doors. And I wasn't, I guess I'm kind of my personality. I think Martha Stewart said it once. I like instant gratification. When I do something, I do it, and I want to see the results fast. For me, that's just, again, I only speak for myself.
Well,
and
that's
I didn't see
a
the
lot
results.
that's a lot of society today, right? We live right now because of how high tech we are with social media and everything. We're high, we're instant gratification.
Well, and after 27 years, and again, I'm going to date myself, but after 27 years of being in that business that's so cyclical, that I went from deadline to deadline to deadline to deadline. I knew every day what I had to do. And then when I went into real estate, I just felt like I was adrift, like I was thrown into this large ocean or a pool, and I couldn't grab to the sides, and I didn't know what I didn't know. There's that. And I did meet a lot of great people along the way that were very helpful, and I wanted to be like them, and I wanted to learn from them. And kind of maybe, unfortunately, in hindsight, some of those people that I could have gleaned things from weren't next to me, weren't somebody that I could just get information from. The system was set up so they were on one floor and we were on another floor, and I thought that was detrimental, in the sense that people want to learn and you can hear from each other. So, but that was just my experience. But you're so right, and I reinvented myself, because I had to feed my daughter Shaylin. And girls are expensive. She's not, I guess she's spoiled, I'll just admit it.
Okay.
Like I don't want to be that parent. She's spoiled. I grew up in the 1970s with one bathroom and 10 people, so I don't know if I'm spoiled, but I had to take care of her, and I wasn't going to be the parent who was like, I didn't want her to know if there's money troubles. I kept all that from her. She thought we were, living high on the hog. Well, she was, I wasn't, but so yeah, I had to do what I had to do, and nobody was gonna. I had support from family and friends. Keep going, you'll do it, and I'm not a quitter. And I just kept trying and trying and trying, and I still, every day I'm learning all the time, and I make mistakes, and that's how I grow. And if I don't make, who said if you don't ever get fired from a job, you're doing something wrong? Well, I've been fired from a job.
Okay.
And I think that you learn from all of those experiences. You don't learn from just the good experiences. I actually believe that the bad experiences, the experiences that are really difficult to go through, is where you do your most learning and your most growing. Unfortunately, it also comes with some pain and some impact.
Yep.
But I think that, especially in real estate, when I had a smooth transaction, which most of mine were, I can't complain. But when you had a tough one and it was falling apart, and that's when you learn the most. And So agents, I have so much respect for them. The ones that have been doing this, that are very well seasoned, that have been around for 30 years, 20 years, 40 years, that have seen these crazy markets come and go, and they've just been able to withstand the blows that come with these things,
Sure.
and just and the experiences they've learned from not literally being shot at, but they're soldiers. They've done this. They've had cold call. They've done all of those things. It's been tough, and now I don't lose sight over the fact that today we can get on the internet and look at the MLS, and then in the old, I shouldn't say the olden days, but in the past, it wasn't that simple. You didn't have an internet to go see what the house looks like. You had to physically. What they've told me, I sound like we're talking about the wagons going out west, but they would get in the car, they would get in the caravans on a Tuesday, and they would go to see all the houses together, and everybody would go, oh, this house, okay, and they would make their own notes, and so those people seemingly like the people that I met in the newsroom that were there back in the olden days in the newsroom, when there was smoking in the newsroom and everyone was drinking scotch out of their top drawer. Those were the pioneers. So
Yeah.
I couldn't sit back. I had to just figure it out.
Yeah, well, I mean, so here's the thing, right? So you had to work with deadlines with the news company, right? You knew every single day you had to produce, right? So you're feeding yourself with your instant gratification. You're seeing the fruits of your labor immediately. So I get it. And then, you get into real estate, especially when you got in, we weren't as high tech as we are now. So it's a slow process. I mean, when you talk about the minute you meet a buyer or a seller, especially back, in 2016, 2017, because we weren't as, tech savvy as we are now, it was a slow process. Buying and selling a house, getting it listed and everything else could have been a minimum of 45 days. Today, I mean, we're not too far off from that. We're, on average around 30 if, God forbid nothing goes wrong. But it does seem like we got a lot of dead space and a lot of dead time in what we're doing, just because we know it only takes about 10 days for title. A person's credit's their credit. The banks can really get that done and get it done quickly. Yeah, and then the other thing too is, we're not waiting for Friday to come for that book to come out with the list of the houses that are available, and then Saturday's a mad dash for all the realtors to show up and show the same houses, and then paperwork trails to get the offers in and back and forth. I think that may have actually even hurt the housing market some, because it was hard to communicate and get all the highest and best in. I'm sure fax machines were running like crazy back then.
Sure.
Now we're an email and a text, and a house is on the market for 3 hours, and we have 4 offers, and it's just crazy.
Exactly.
But no, I love it. I just and I get it, and why it would be slow for you, because the news is so fast. And before we went live, you and I were talking about times have changed some, but not in the aspect where there was crime back in the 70s. There was it's all relative. The reason why we feel it's more now than it was then is because we didn't get the news immediately. Today something happens. There's a riot at UCLA. We know in 3 minutes flat, and there's 27 sources telling it. Back in 1970, if there was a riot at UCLA over what's going on over in the Gaza, you had to wait a day or two for the report, and it may not be 100% accurate, or it may not be evolving the right way, and it would take days before the whole story fleshed out. Whereas we don't have that now. But I think,
and what I mentioned earlier too was, like, when I was in the newsroom, if there was a train wreck or something and they thought there were 5 people dead, we would do everything we could to make sure that we knew, was it 5, was it 2, was it 3, was it 1 person and someone got hurt. Today, whoever gets the news out there first is the winner, because that gets the clicks on the internet, and it's about who has the stickiness of the internet. We wouldn't print a story. We wouldn't put a story out until we could try to get all that information first. And we would hold on to a story if we didn't know. And now, what I had mentioned earlier was it's seemingly okay. It's evolved in the sense that turns out it wasn't 55 people that died in the bridge wreck. It was actually, one bird that got on the track and it got its feathers. But anyway, something still did happen on the train track. But,
sure.
It's just changed, and it is what it is, and the world changed, and it evolves. And my mother, who's lived in the same neighborhood since 1960, she's 89 years old, and she'll call me and she'll go, the guy next door who moved here from North Jersey, he's outside every day. He's building putting new landscape in a pool. And I said, Mom, you've been there since 1960. Like, people are moving in. Things are changing and evolving.
Right.
In 1960, you were the young mom with the
That's
kids,
right.
and you had the pool, and you were tearing down the trees, and the neighbors that lived next door, who were 80 at the time, were like, oh my God, these people have 10 kids, you know. And she goes, that's a good point.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, so we got you going through real estate. You've been doing real estate for a little bit there. But now you said more of your passion is probably more into the home staging. So obviously we have a bunch of realtors, real estate people on here, mortgage people, other home stagers and stuff like that. Personally, I appreciate what you do because there's a lot of times when we walk into the house as a realtor, I'm not trained in the aesthetics or anything like that. I can only give my general advice and say, hey, don't think this would look great there. You got to clear off the counters, declutter. We don't need to see the trash cans, put the toilet seat down, things like that. But that's probably to the extent that I go. And then I deal with what I can deal with. Let me say this. I do make sure I go a little bit further. Like, I'm making sure when I'm taking pictures, there's not a cat jumping through the screen, or at least the bed in the room is made, and the sink's not filled with dishes. I'm not going to say that all my peers do that, because there's a lot of shitty pictures on the MLS where people just don't give a shit, and we see it all the time. And I'm not trying to rant about it, but I'll say this. If you put a picture on the MLS and the friggin' thing is sideways and blurry, you really don't give a fuck about your clients. You just don't. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to go down that road over the home staging, but it's aggravating.
So. I totally 150% agree with you. I think that there are, just like in any other industry, there are real estate agents who are top shelf, top notch, who are really thorough and are what I call buttoned down. They really know their craft, and they see all those details, not as details, but as really important points. Then there's the other ones. So there's a mix of that out there, but I do see a lot of bad photos for a lot of different reasons. Bad photos that have no composition, photos where one of my biggest pet peeves is there's something called window bloom. And window bloom is because I'm not someone, I know I can tell you what a good photo looks like, but I can't make one. I can't do that, but I can tell you a good one from my years of being in the magazine business and working with professional photographers over the years. I've learned and gleaned some of this information from them, and I've had long conversations with them. And bloom is when you look out a window. If I took a photo right now, any one of my windows looking out, it just looks like you almost have glaucoma. The window is just blurry, like a ghost or some kind of sphere is there. A good photographer knows how to adjust the lighting and all of that, color corrections for the bloom. I constantly see photos where the sunshine, the natural light, and it's tough to do, and the natural light comes in, and the floor underneath the natural light will be blue, because that's what the sunshine photographs as blue, and then the rest of the kitchen will be the warm tone of the brown. So when I'm looking at it, I'm like, is that the floor? Is the floor blue? Is the floor brown? And I know what it is because I've been in the house and I know that it's hardwood.
Right.
You can't tell from that photo. So there's that issue. And some of the other things that I do with staging, and I know we'll talk about that a little bit more detail, but when I look in a room, I'm doing things with photographs. I'm doing what's called a strong right and a strong left margin. I don't know how people see my hands, if this is left or right or backwards, whatever, but a strong left margin and a strong right margin and an open foreground. So we have some photos later that we're going to show folks. We'll go through and I'll try to explain where you can see that. But those are techniques that draw in someone who's looking at the photographs. You don't want so many distractions in a photograph, and that's what you see in a lot of them, when there's the towel hanging on the oven, when there's a clock. I don't know why people have, for holy God, I don't know why people have clocks in the bathroom. I don't know what you're doing in there that you need to time yourself, but I see it all the time. And I see personal photos in the bathroom. For me, I feel, and this is just me, personal photos of my family is something that goes in a bedroom or in a private hallway. I don't put pictures. I don't do that. That's not something that I do. If people do it, that's fine. But
Yeah,
when
it's
you're
not a
selling a
me thing
home,
either. That's I
it's just
the bathroom's for me. I don't need my aunt checking me out on the picture there while
I
I'm
know.
doing my
It's so
business.
bizarre. I mean, yeah, and I mean, sometimes it's cute. There'll be the kids at the beach, and they're little skivvies, and they're 2 months old. I get it, but sometimes I'm like, why is your wedding picture in the bathroom? Like, this is so bizarre. Like, is your marriage down the toilet? Is there some kind of symbolism you're trying to do here?
Symbolism.
Yeah, similance. That's Saturday Night Live. So yeah, so like when I go into a room, I don't know how I do it. I don't know why I can do it. I just have this, like some people can sing, some people can play the piano. I can go into an empty room and I can see where the space is. I see space, and I can tell where things should go and what's gonna draw in a buyer, draw in a person into the
Right.
home and take them through the home. Um, you want to know what the number one thing is that and this isn't even staging, just decorating related, interior design related. You know what the number one, in my opinion, the number one thing most homeowners do wrong in their house? I see it every single day.
I don't know. That's why I have you here.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, and then you can use this for chit chat when you go to your next cocktail party.
All right.
Pretty much 99% of people hang their wall art too high. Way too high. It's always way too high. Now, I don't know if people are married to men that are 6'7" and 6'9" and they're hanging the art to their eye view, but all art should be eye level. So if you're a man and you're 6'5", you need to bring it down. And I see it all the time. It's almost on the crown molding. It's so high.
Okay.
And people especially do it with smaller photos. I don't know what it is with smaller photos. I feel like the smaller, the higher they think it should go, and it's really the opposite. It should come down. And sometimes people are like, it looks so low, and I'm like, but that's the right way to do it.
Sure.
I think the second thing people do constantly that I see when I go into homes, because I do a lot of occupied stages, in addition to vacant staging, which is great, and I enjoy that very much. I see a lot of people, when I do occupied stagings, the second biggest thing I see homeowners do is they line the walls with the furniture. So you and I could do the tango in the center of the room because there's nothing there.
We got a lot of open space for activities.
Yeah, and the whole room is lined with the furniture, and there's no grouping, and it's just like, what's happening? Like it doesn't feel good. And my job is I'm not there to make the house look pretty as much as I'm there to market the house to as many buyers as I can. And I think one of the strengths that I bring, because I have the background of the real estate and I truly understand what an agent goes through during a transaction, the ups, the downs, the ins, the outs. I'm able to. I consider myself a visual marketing expert. Like photos are so important. So as a visual marketing professional, I can go in and I really do a lot of work with agents going in for my pre-listing consultations, and I know exactly where the camera should go to best focus on the room, and I do everything I can in my step-by-step plan that I give to the agent, who then gives it to the seller, tells them exactly what they need to do. Put this here, remove that here, pack this here. And I recently did one in Morristown, and it was a wonderful couple. I enjoyed them so much. And the husband...
Looked like you froze a little bit there. So you're a little frozen, Mary. I don't know if you can hear me or not. And probably not in the most flattering picture of yourself. So let's see if we get Mary back here with the internet. I don't know, Comcast, are you doing something? Let's see what we got here. So while I'm trying to get Mary back, let me switch over to one of Mary's photos of a house that she staged, and let me see if we can get her back on here. So obviously you can see an after and a before shot. I'm going to let Mary interpret what's going on, but it's not the full shot of the room, but it gives you a great idea and the perspective. And like Mary was saying, she does the lineup as far as what goes where, and she tells them how to make the shot, so that it works. So let me see here, Mary, where are you? Reminds me of that song, Mary, Mary, why you bugging? Okay, we don't know where you're at, Mary. Mary is still gone. Oh, she's completely gone. Hopefully she dials back in. And I'll let you folks just look at me for a minute. So far what we learned about Mary is she's, been working on, she was an editor for a newspaper for many years. And then the internet came along and it killed the business. And I think one of the most important takes there for me and for anybody listening is, hold on, here's Mary. That's what I love, folks. Unscripted. It's just real, uncut. You get whatever crappy shit happens is what we get. But anyway, so Mary was saying how she's got to pivot, and we talk about this all the time in our careers. No, it doesn't make a difference what you do if you're an editor, if you're a real estate agent, if you work in a factory boxing stuff, right? Because the internet killed Mary's job with editing because print went dead. Realtors, we're all panicking now. Let me back that up. I'm not panicking. A lot of realtors are panicking. Oh no, we got buyer's agency agreement. Oh shit, the business is going to change. I'm going to have to pivot. I'm going to reinvent myself, and I'm going to have to work for a living. I'm going to have to show my worth and my value proposition. The factory workers scared that they're going to get replaced by the robot. Look, and I'm not saying these aren't legitimate concerns, but this is part of life. This is, what happens to us. We got to constantly make changes. We get together in life. We're single people, and then we get married, so we have to change our lives and pivot and stuff. We have a partner. We have kids. Hold on, folks. I see Mary's coming right back in here. Let's see. All right, we got Mary, and let's see if we can get her out of the green room. And let me see.
Yikes.
All right, Mary.
I blew up the internet.
Well, you broke it. Everybody's tuning in. They're so happy. It was, It was the internet was coming back from your last newspaper job. They were coming to cancel you here, taking you out.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, everyone. Well, you never know, like people say that work with me. You never know what kind of day you're going to have when you hang out with me. So.
You know what, Mary? While we were waiting for you to come back in, I was just saying, this is probably just another example of, there's so much change in our world, and we got to pivot. We got to constantly pivot, whether you're an editor, real estate agent, buyer's agency agreements, whether you're working in a factory and a robot takes your job. You pivot, you roll with it. This podcast is unfiltered, unscripted, and uncut. This is live. This is ballsy to be live because there's going to be errors, there's going to be mistakes. I screw up the software on this thing all the time. So, it is what it is, but I'm glad you're back in.
Thank you. I made my stay.
Yeah. So we were talking about.
What happened.
No, it's all right. Don't worry about it. So we were talking. People hire Mary so she could pay her friggin' internet bill. So we're talking about the perspective when you do the consultation. You're not just looking at a space with furniture and stuff like that. You're explaining to the agent, if I'm correct, what the perspective of the shot should be, where the picture should be taken from to get the most out of the room and the angle. And I've done some photography, so I know a little bit. Like I'm not taking dead straight on shots. I'm trying to get a 3-wall and get wide, and without doing that crazy fisheye shit, because that kills me too when you put fisheye pictures up. And here's the other thing too: if you're a real estate agent and you're using your iPhone to take pictures, shame on you. Okay? Earn your goddamn commission and hire a photographer or use a real camera. Sorry. All right.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, it's so embarrassing, especially when you can see them in the bathroom mirror taking the picture of themselves. And I'm like, what? Like, what? It's embarrassing on so many levels, and it's just like,
Right.
But
Earn your 2.5%, your 3%, whatever. You didn't build that house. You didn't save the money to buy it. You didn't put the overtime in. You're listing it. You're supposed to put your best foot forward and market it, and that's why we have professionals like Mary.
right, and it's interesting to say that get your 2%, but I have to say that the agents that are savvy and brand conscious who hire me are getting more than the average percent on their listings because they're bringing in professionals like myself.
Well,
So
you're a value
what
add.
and shame on me if I'm not doing enough to educate people on that. And so those clients, the ones that value me and who trust me, are the ones that I want. I had someone call me yesterday and said, we'd really be interested in you doing some advertising. I'm like, I do not advertise. I don't expect to grow this into the size of Amazon. That's not who I am. That's not what I want. I want to keep
Jeff Bezos, like, so happy you said that right now.
I know. Mine wouldn't be the rainforest. Mine would be more like the swamp or something. But anyway, I won't use the word swamp. That could offend some people. But
You're not Joanna Gaines.
No. So, but I really do value my what I feel like I bring and what I've been told that I bring. I'm a partner with the agent. I want to see them succeed. And I also know that when I go and I meet them and their clients, they look to me to be the expert. I can be the bad news deliverer. If I have to say, listen, Mrs. Smith, I know that spoon collection's from the Civil War, and that was a really great war, but people don't want to see that anymore. Or if there's an odor in the house, I've had to be the one that says, here's what we can do about that to neutralize it. And I think my personality, the way I approach it, is I'm not judgmental, because if you came to my house, it looks really nice from here.
Right.
If you were able to pan around, you'd be like, looks like a murder went on here today. But I think that what I do is I bring that extra that confidence that helps the seller understand. And my spiel, what I say to them, and I'm on a rinse and repeat. I've really found what works well. What you can do, what you don't want to do, and what you can't do. And then it's my job to make a plan around that. So there still can be success. I can't expect, and I don't expect every seller to do exactly what I ask them to do. But if they do, 85% of what I ask them to do, they're going to see a tremendous difference. There was one woman, it was a big, beautiful house, almost $1 million in, I think it was Lumberton. Very nice woman, lovely to speak to her. House was nice, little traditional. There were some things that I was like, eh. And it was summertime, and she still had the artificial wreath on the fireplace.
Mm-hmm.
And I begged her to take that down for the photographs, but she didn't do it. I never could get a read on why. But, she sold the house. So, I don't see and I think what I do say is I don't want to be the hero. I'm the partner with the agent, and to me, when they're successful, then I'm successful. Like, I want to help them grow their business. So if they hire me at 123 Main Street to help Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and things go really wonderful, which is what I'm hoping for, and generally it does, Mr. and Mrs. Smith leave town, but Mr. and Mrs. Smith leave behind neighbors and family and friends, and people talk. And Mr. and Mrs. Smith are going to say, we had a really great experience with XYZ agent, and they're going to call that agent again. And I was part of that experience. So it's really important to me to feel as though, and to act as though, and to be in a relationship with the agent and getting the property ready, marketable, and ready to go.
Right. Right.
So that's
I
my
always
development.
think, it's when we get ready to list a house around Christmas or something, with the high holidays, whatever it is that
Right.
people celebrate. I always think it's a little tough when we're taking those pictures and getting it done, even if we're bringing in a professional photographer, because it dates the picture. So
Right.
what I see is, if I'm having a difficult time moving the house, to sell it, and we're headed into spring, I got to get the pictures redone.
Right.
So I advise my clients, hey, let's look, I'm all for you having your holidays and stuff, but let's try to get the house photographed in a very neutral position so
Right.
that we're not dating when these pictures were done and alluding to how much time the house has been on the market, because an agent will take advantage of, well, you know what, I saw the pictures were done in December because I saw the Christmas tree. It's now March and the house is
Right.
still here. I'm going to come in 10 grand light on this offer.
Exactly. It looks stale. So you see that with the mums. People will put their house in October. Anything that's a telltale sign that tells you the season, that gives you a time stamp, mums, Christmas trees, wreaths,
Right.
shamrocks on the windows, Valentine's Day, like any of that. So what I, people have to sell their house when they have to sell their house. We get it. But it's up to the agent and me when I'm there to say, listen, we need to shoot this room from another angle. Let's avoid the Christmas tree, although it looks great. But especially if it's a higher priced home, those don't tend to fly off the market in 35 days, 40 days. If it's cash, maybe, probably. But, if it's a
Yeah.
$1 million or $2 million house, they're not going to fly. So it could be 90, it could be 90 days, it could be 6 months. So anything that looks stale, we don't want to keep. We want to get rid of that.
Right.
Christmas. I mean, I can drive around right now and point to 2 or 3 houses in my neighborhood, not exactly my neighborhood, but close, that have Christmas lights up. Like some people just never take them down, and it's like there's not much you can do. But
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's whatever makes them. I have, the sellers have to be comfortable with me, and generally they're comfortable with me because I don't judge. I say to them, listen, if you came to my house right now, it looks like a frat house. I don't even know what's going, I'm not that person, so don't worry about it. And usually it works out really well.
Yeah, well, I got a lot of kids, so there's always crap everywhere. You know what I mean? From the minute the kids come home, there's a trail from the door of the garage all the way through
Sure.
to their bedrooms and everything else. And clothes make it to the landing point here in my house, which is the stairs, and then they'll get walked past 17 times throughout the course of the day until my wife goes, "Everybody walk past these clothes." So I mean, that's how we
I
are.
did that. I
It
did
is
that
what
once. I left. There was a pen. I have all hardwood floors here with area rugs. So if something's on the floor and you kick it, you're going to hear it. So there was a pen. I kid you not. There was a pen in my hallway, and it was there for over 2 weeks, and it just kept getting kicked along. And I was like, I'm just leaving it. I'm just going to see what
See,
happens. And it just came back, came up, back the hall, down the hall, back up the hall. I'm like, you have to hear this.
yeah.
No one, no, no one bent down to pick it up. So I finally did. I gave up. I caved. I was like, this is
You can
ridiculous.
you can see it. Well,
Yeah,
let me bring up one of your pictures in your staging, and then this way you can kind of
sure.
explain to folks what we're looking at and what it is and why you've done what you've done with the picture
Okay,
here.
sure,
All right,
sure.
let's see here. We got
Which
Mary.
one do you have here? Let's
We
see.
got this one
Oh, I
here.
remember. I remember this. Actually, this was I did this for Regina Missinelli. I'm going to say her name wrong. She's a wonderful agent. She's with EXP now with Mark McKenna. This was her listing. This was a really nice young couple in Morristown, and they were moving from this townhouse in Morristown to a huge home in Morristown. And they had a daughter, and the table here you see on the one side was where she did her crafts, so you can see the paint on it. So this is what I called an occupied staging. So I went in and I decided to get, to take this table out and the chairs out, and I replaced it with the table that you see on the other photo, which they did use while it was in there because they have to live, right? So that was what that was about. And I kept it circular because the dining area was kind of tight and that light was huge, and I had to make sure that I had a table that the light didn't look like it was going to be way bigger than the table. So that was the thought process behind that.
Yeah, so I mean, I see with the chairs, right? So, listen, we're not about critiquing furniture or anything else like that. That's one of the things I hate when I go on appointments with buyers. They're critiquing the
Right.
furniture instead of looking at the house. But the overall appearance does help the sell, and it does help the push. Now, clearly, the picture with the yellow chairs is something that was taken a picture of so that you can demonstrate the before with the table, and then the picture
Right,
with the, with the chandelier in there and everything shows us, the swap out of the table. It also shows us, the composition of the photo, how wide it is and how much more of the room we can see, and how it does pull together. Because if you just look at
right.
that table by itself, it's like, well, how does it
Sure.
even fit in? But now when you got it sit like that, it really it pulls in nice. So let's
Right.
see what you
The
see
the
what you,
photo the photo of the yellow leather chairs, those are what I call my notes. My notes are photographs. So that was me kind of reminding myself that I needed to address that, and the table they had, the round table, was a little bit too small and diminutive in scale for the size of that light. And it's hard to see in the second photo with the new table, but that table is larger, which it's a little deceptive in this photograph. But if you go to the next photograph, this was their basement, and the reason I liked this one was I think she was a doctor, and he was very into working out, so he had all of this stuff down there, and they were like, "We don't really want to do anything down here. This desk he's had since I met him. He doesn't want to get rid of it." And I said, "Well, listen, here's two words for you: square footage. We need to clean this up, and I'll help you. And then we're going to stage it because it was all of this space. They never really used it as a family, but I saw the potential and the agent as well. I mean, I'm not like a brain scientist, but I was like, let's do something here. And so the photo, with the blue couch is what the result was of getting that cleaned up. And the wife was happy because she hated that desk. I think he had it from college, and she was like dying to chop it up with an axe. So
yeah, right. I mean, you can see definitely the composition of the picture is there, and you can tell it's definitely the same room. Um,
right,
the blue couch brightens up the room. The lighting looks great. And it's declutter, right? That's one of the things we tell our clients all the time: declutter. Start purging.
right.
Get rid of stuff that you don't need. Because right, we have to showcase the square footage, and basements typically seem, are smaller than the houses, on the main levels, and we got to take advantage of the space. And I think this showcases a
Right.
fantastic job that you're able to do with a small space, making it look very comfortable, livable, and very modern.
Right. So you'll notice that the blue sectional is floating. It's what I call I'm floating that furniture. I didn't slam it against any of the walls. So from this perspective you can't tell, but if you were sitting on the couch, you'd be facing the television. So what I did was I made it so they can pull other chairs up, but I'm not a fan of putting slamming furniture against walls. So this was a way that I floated it so it had. I'm also thinking of when I'm doing this, I'm thinking about how people come to see the house, how buyers can now walk around that path of that blue couch and see it from all angles. So that was my other reason for doing that. It sometimes furniture slammed up against the wall is just kind of like a log jam.
Sure, it doesn't necessarily highlight the size of the room. Let's take a look at this last photo here, and you can explain. So to me, right, the untrained eye, I'm seeing some of the furniture looks the same but a little different. So tell me what was the idea here?
Right. So my thought was here. If you look in the first photo that has those two dark ottomans, if you look to the right side of the photograph, that's a huge windows that looked out into the beautiful backyard, and it was a beautiful. They had a beautiful patio with lovely furniture out there, and it was a private backyard and some really nice plantings. Except the couch was jammed up against the window, and I don't like jamming furniture against windows. I always do my very, very best to make sure the window has open space. So what I did is I took their own furniture. Again, this is occupied staging, and I just took their furniture and I swung it around so that in the second photo you'll notice I made it so that now it looks out the windows, which it's not a great photo, you can't see it, but it was a lovely lush backyard, and I took furniture from other parts of the house. I think that bench was in a bedroom somewhere, and I brought it down because I didn't like the darkness and the squareness. Everything was so square. So when I put the bench there, I'm trying to get some movement. See how I have it kind of angled or cocked on its side?
Yep.
I'm doing that for some so there's some movement in that room because everything else is square. Square rug, the couch is an L shape, and I wanted to do that. And then I switched the lamp. When I switched the couch, I tucked the lamp into the corner. I don't like lamps that are just out there in the middle of nowhere. I was like, well, I didn't like that. But she had a really great um, gallery wall with her art that she had, which I thought was really perfect. So I didn't touch that at all. And so that's what I was trying to do with that orientation of the couch. And I brought in my pillows. And yeah, that's my thought process there. And I just moved the
Fantastic.
plant. The plant was somewhere else. I don't remember. It was jammed up next to a piano or something, but um, it allowed people to come right up to those windows. It allowed buyers to come right up to those windows and look out into that. And at the time of year, it was early summer, late spring,
Okay.
and my thought process is, if it was January, I might not have sweated it too much, but at that time of year, I want to show as much living space as a house has. And this one they did really have nice furniture out there. It was a nice private patio with nice plantings. And I wanted to push people out there and not block that window with that couch that was just like,
Yeah,
you
it's
couldn't.
not a dark gray wintry day. You want to take advantage of the nature outside, the grass, the plants, and everything else, and it definitely looks good. And I think what's good here too is a lot of people think staging means you're ripping all the existing furniture and stuff out of the house and bringing in all new stuff. But the last photo that you took, that we talked about was, so you paired some of your company stuff with the client's existing stuff.
Right.
So
So that's the occupied
phenomenal.
staging that I do. And I have to tell you, occupied vacant staging it's not that hard. The house is vacant. Nobody's over my shoulder, which is how I like to work. I don't have to worry about a dog. And they had a dog, a sweet dog, Molly, that I took for walks when I'm there. That's the kind of stager I am, folks. I take your
Okay.
dog for walks. I clean your windows. I've done that too. Um, and I have a stage coming up in Cherry Hill next week, and I have a beautiful screened in porch in the back and another lovely yard. And I'm going to definitely do something with that. And they're like, really? And I said, totally. Like this time of year, people want to throw their kids somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
No,
and,
you're
and
you're
extra
right.
living space. So, and the occupieds are what I was trying to say is I'm sorry, I don't mean to
No,
interrupt. The
you're good.
occupieds are it's difficult because it's a blend of their things and my things, but somehow I'm able to dovetail it together so that it works. And listen, most of the houses that are for sale, people are living in them. And that's why I do as many consultations as I do to help people like that couple. Um, and it's less expensive than vacant staging. And not everybody moves out of their house to go buy another house. Circumstances are sometimes they're moving in with a child, they're moving to Florida, they're leaving their house in Mount Laurel, they're going to go live in their shore house, so they take their furniture. And there's that scenario, but generally people are living there. And I love doing those consultations because sometimes the agents don't, because then the people will be like, we really have more space here now. I'm like, no, you have to move.
Sure.
They like what I did, that they're like, well, I'm like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, well, don't do too good of a job. Sometimes people may not
I
want to
know.
sell or move then, right? So,
Right.
like on Love It or List It. So, well, Mary, I really want to say thank you for coming on. Why don't you tell everybody
Thanks so
how
much.
they can reach you?
Sure. So, my I shouldn't say it this way. My phone number is everywhere. No, it's sick. My phone number, you can always call or text me 609-389-8361. My staging website, and this just slips right off the tongue, and I don't know why I did this, but I did, so I'm stuck with it. It's Home Sweet Home Staging, SJ for South Jersey.com. That's my website. I also stage Philadelphia as well. I do a lot over there as well. And they can check that, or they can call or text me. I'll answer as soon as I can. I'm very communicative. I get back to people, good, bad, and the ugly. I don't try to avoid getting back to people. So yeah, that's definitely how you can get a hold of me.
Sure. And we'll put all your contact information in the description
Sure.
and all the liner notes and everything so people can reach out to you. Mary Price, thank you very much. Thank you for
Thanks so much,
sharing your
Mike.
story with us. Thanks for sharing how you pivot and you've just been able to get things done. So really appreciate it. And folks, we'll talk to Mary soon. Mary, have a good one.
Thank you so much. A wonderful time. Thank you. You're a wonderful host.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. So there you have it, folks. We just wrapped up with Mary Price. You know, it's interesting to see, like I said, how people pivot, how people's lives change, how, we got to continue to go on. And, we're not perfect. And, obviously I'm not either because I just got a note that my audio in the beginning of this was like echoing and stuff like that. So, I'm not perfect. But I think, I want to put the lesson out there. You got to keep evolving. You got to keep evolving. You got to keep moving. Keep doing what it takes. Get up every day. Find that drive to get things finished. Find that drive to get on to the next task. Stop looking backwards to see, oh, I should have done this. I should have done that. Everything happens at the right time for a reason. You're doing what you're doing right now in your life because it's that time of your life to do it. And I share with a lot of people, that have heartache and disappointment and stuff. You've already survived 100% of your worst days up to this point so far. So keep smiling, kick ass, get shit done, and that's the way it should be. I want to thank everybody for tuning in or not tuning in or watching the replay or whatever, critiquing me. If you're interested in coming on the podcast, you have something interesting to share, you want to say something, you want to come on, you want to talk about whatever, we'll talk about your business. We're promoting. You want to talk about your story, what's going on. I'm here. Give me a call. You want to buy, sell, lease, rent. Ultimately, that's what I do. I'm a real estate agent. My phone number is 856-558-3464, or you can go to getseengetsold.com, or you can go to MikeRady.com. Check out my website where we've got every property in every county in New Jersey under 300,000, so that we're hitting people with affordable housing listed on the website. Go to our website and check it out. Everybody have a great day. Don't forget to get seen, get sold.
All right, renegades and rulers of reality. That's a wrap on another ruthless round of the Get Seen, Get Sold podcast. Stay wild. Stay wild. Keep your listings lit and your negotiations nasty. Until next time, don't just get listed, get seen, get sold. Drop the mic. We out.